for this challenge, we're bringing a lot of data sets together and making sure that we make them all nice and clean to show the results that we want. So what we have is these two inputs for our East region stores and our West region stores. So East and West. If you're wondering why the name of my inputs may look a bit different from when you automatically drag them out from the connection pane, it's just because I double clicked in the name there and edited it so that I can tell more easily, because you can see how all the connections start with Preppin Summer 2022. So I just thought it would look nicer, easier to tell which input is which by renaming them. So you can always right click as well and say rename, and that will let you rename that step. So we've got our East and our West regions. So we have our store, salesperson, and percent of store sales. So I could have done a wildcard union at this stage in my multiple files in my input step, but I decided as there's only two stores, I could just drag them both into a union step instead. And then we can see how they match up: the store, the salesperson, percent of store sales. You can see those colors here coming from these respective inputs and how they relate. We can see that this means that half of the rows are coming from store, coming from our East stores, half are coming from West. That's kind of what that color representation is doing for us. So everything's matching up basically, which is great. And then we have this table names here, which if I just expand this a little bit more, this field, okay, that's, there we go. If I drag that over, then you can see we've got that full table name there with West or East in there. So if we want to extract our region, it's not necessary because we could get it from one of our other input files, but just to show you how you could extract that if you wanted to, I'll expand my changes pane and go back to the start before I've made changes. Okay, so from my table names, to get this additional field, I just went to the three dots menu there, went to split values and custom split, and I chose for the opening bracket because our East or West is inside brackets, and I chose to split off the last part of that. So that gets us to this stage. And then from here, I just went to this field and went to the three dots menu there, and you guessed it, I did another split with the closing brackets, and this time I took the first, and therefore that'll get us our East and West. Then I could just delete these additional tables and rename this to be our region. Okay, next up we were bringing in our store lookup. So if we just take a look at that, we can see we've got our store IDs, it comes with our store name, and yes, you can see the region was there as well. So we didn't need to do this bit of data prep in reality, but it's good to practice. So we join these two together on our store ID. By default, mine wanted to join on the region. This would be only necessary if we knew that our store IDs, there could be a store one in both regions, for example. But in our example, all of the stores are unique in the regions, across the regions, sorry. So we don't need to join it on region, but it wouldn't hurt if we were also joining on region too. So we've joined our store to our store ID, and I've just got rid of any duplicated fields. We also don't need the store ID anymore going forwards because we have the store name to work with. So we should have 4 fields by the end of this join, or you could have done a clean step after the join so that you can remove those additional fields as well. Okay, then if we take a look at our week 27 input, then we can see that we have our store name and our sales value at the end here. Oh, no, it's not at the end, it's just over here. And what we want to do is we want to aggregate this data set. At the moment, it's at sort of the order ID product level. We can see the sales for each store on different days. We don't care about different days, we're just looking at an overall picture for now. So if we aggregate that up, group by our store name, so you can see how it's suggesting to aggregate our different fields. We can just pick them up and drag them over here. So we're having our store name and our sale value again, just picking that up and dragging over to the aggregate section over there. Now when we join on our store name and get rid of any additional fields that we don't need, then we have basically 5 fields now. So we've just added on that sale value from our previous step. That's the additional field that we've been able to bring in as a result of that join. And finally, all we want to calculate there now is the sales per person, because we have a percent store sales and we have a sale value. So we can just do a quick calculation where we multiply our sale value by the percent of store sales over 100. Okay, and that will get us to our output. So I've just done an output here as a CSV into my Preppin data folder, I need to hit run flow in order for that to generate, of course. But that's this challenge complete. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for watching.